Okay, hi, like you said, my name is Susan Schwickrath, and I am from Chickasaw County and part of the Devon Dreamers 4-H Club. Can anybody name any of the presidents? Okay, how about any of them who are assassinated? I have chosen two famous presidents who were assassinated while their lives were very similar. Every morning, Abraham Lincoln would go out for a walk at 7 a.m. Then he would come back and have breakfast with his family. His wife, Mary Lincoln, said she wanted to go to a production called Our American Cousin that night, and she wanted to go with Mr. Grant and his wife. Lincoln went to work that day and talked to Mr. Grant. He said him and his wife had already had plans to go to a different production, so they went with Mr. and Mrs. Ratherburn. They all went for a carriage ride before their production. They arrived at 7:30. It was around 10:15 that John Wilkes Booth came up behind Lincoln and shot him in the back of the head. Then he jumped out onto the stage and yelled, "Sic semper tyrannis," which also means, "thus always tyrants." They took Lincoln across the road and had a doctor examine him. On April 15, 1865, at 7:22 a.m., he was pronounced dead. Okay, that is a picture of when Mr. Atherburn was trying to stop Booth from shooting Lincoln, and that's John Wilkes Booth, and over there is Abraham Lincoln. John Fitzgerald Kennedy and his wife, Jacqueline Kennedy, went to Dallas to deliver a speech. Their flight came in late, but they decided to make all the planned stops because of all the people who came out to see them. At 12:30, the presidential car turned onto Dealey Plaza, and at that moment they heard a gunfire. The president was shot in the neck and the governor in the chest. They took JFK to Parkland Memorial Hospital. They had a doctor examine him, and at 1 p.m. he was pronounced dead. The governor was said to recover. The president's body was taken to Love Field and was placed on Air Force One. They had taken Lee Harvey Oswald into custody for the assassination of John Kennedy. Okay, that's the planned route that they were supposed to take when they were in Dallas, and that's Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy together, and that's Mr. Kennedy over there. The similarities between Lincoln and Kennedy. In 1846, Lincoln was elected into Congress, while 1946, Kennedy was. Lincoln was elected president 1860 and Kennedy 1960. Both men's wives lost children while they were in the White House, and both were directly concerned with civil rights. Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy who told him not to go to the theater that night, while Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln who told him not to go to Dallas. Both men were shot in the back of the head on a Friday. John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald, both had 3 names and 15 letters. Lincoln was shot in a theater and Booth ran to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse while Oswald ran to a theater. Booth and Oswald were both killed before their trial, and both were thought to be part of a greater conspiracy. This is Lincoln and Kennedy next to each other, and this is a face comparison. They said that they had similar faces. And over here, this car is a Lincoln. That was the presidential car that Kennedy was shot in. And down here is the booth that Lincoln was shot in. Do you think it was just a coincidence? And that's my bibliography. That concludes my presentation. Are there any questions? The question was, how did I become interested in this topic? I had a history teacher who was explaining to us about the similarities between Kennedy and Lincoln, and it just sort of took off from there. Any other questions? Thank you.